A lot of what we talk about is AI is this huge revolution, and how do we democratize it so everybody from the C-suite to the front line becomes a safe AI power user? We have these events called AI at Work to literally open the garage. This is a garage, and you'll hear the train go by. But to bring leaders that maybe not everyone would otherwise get the chance to interact with for intimate fireside chats to talk about the real of what's going on at AI at work. So Lanai works with 30% of knowledge workers across the globe that are working for big and large corporations, empowering those humans to do extraordinary things for businesses to help them get ahead and stay ahead in this AI era is really important to us. I have had the pleasure of working with and for Nikesh for 17 years, counted it. Nikesh Arora before he was a household name. And there is no one better that I would like to be here. And I know when you're announcing things, you have to say it like that, but I actually mean there is no one that I would like to talk to about this moment. More than Nikesh. So Nikesh, you can join me on stage. Let's go him up. Nikesh, I'm so deeply grateful that you came tonight, that you supported my campaign, and that you pushed me to be the best I could be when we worked together.
You like me more now.
I might have called you an asshole a couple times, but in the best of ways.
That wouldn't be the first person or the first time.
I admire you for being 100% consistent in what you say and what you do. And as I get older, I realize more and more how rare and wonderful that trait is. So thankful.
So thank you. Always misunderstood, but eventually right.
And you're humble too. Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, so if your life were a career, or your career journey were a book, from your early days in India to the US, Google, SoftBank, now Palo Alto Security, what would you call it?
I don't know what the pithy word or would be. I could make something silly up, like always searching, as a chapter, as a book, because I've had a bit of a, I think in your terms, non-linear life. It's like I started off as a money manager, ended up not doing it, started a mobile data company, flipped from that to Google, selling ads, which I'd never sold before, went to work for a crazy Japanese guy in Japan. Don't recommend that to everyone. And then ended up at a cybersecurity company, never run a public company, couldn't spell cybersecurity. I thought it was hyphenated, but it wasn't. And here I am. So there's never been like a, oh shit, I knew this person was going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of always trying to figure out what the next thing needs to be.
Yeah. And you're, at the same time, I think you managed to be at the center of some pretty significant revolutions, evolutions, mobile, cloud, now AI. While it hasn't been totally planful, you certainly don't shy away from a challenge.
Yeah, shy is not a word that has often been used in like context. Yes, I would agree. No, look, we're lucky. We've, at least in my life, I've seen most of the major technology revolutions. I don't have to sound old and remind you that phones didn't exist, et cetera, et cetera. So you have the privilege of being through multiple technology evolutions. The one characteristic every one of them has is they just accelerate. They happen much faster. And I told this story many years ago, so I could possibly repeat it. I used to work at Google with Lexi. And one day I came back home and my then 12-year-old, who's 27 now, and a venture capitalist, she was trying to teach my father how to use Google Video. There was a thing at that point in time, kind of like WhatsApp and Facebook. It's just Google had it. And my father, who was then possibly in his late 60s, said, I'm done. I don't want to learn anything new. You just call me. And just that morning, I had said to somebody who was trying to put Twitter on my phone, that's cool, man. I got enough apps on my phone.
Yeah.
And I go, shit, this is a bad idea. And from that day onwards, I've never shied away of trying to learn the new thing. So when AI came about, I was on a flight to India. I was going to speak at my alma mater in India, and I'd written a whole speech about whatever, something. And ChatGPT came out, and I sat at Dubai airport. I rewrote the entire speech. And Then I came back and I dedicated myself to learning about AI. So I took my 200 leaders in the room, invited everybody who said the word AI into our office, had them speak to us and said, we all need to be at the same level of misunderstanding or understanding together before we can do something useful. So, you just put yourself out there. You're trying to learn what the new trend is, trying to understand it and see what you can make.
I love that. I thought you were going to say you rewrote the speech with ChatGPT.
And no, it wasn't that good. It was, and I was struggling because I went to a university in India where there are 30,000 people who graduated that year because they were doing 2 graduations because they had a COVID miss. And half the people would understand Hindi better than English. And I was struggling whether I'd do a speech in English or in Hindi. And I kind of like caught myself. So I did kind of half and half.
Okay, I can't wait to help you write your book because that's also a good title, half and half.
That's right.
I
like that better. You're so smart.
One of the things that I feel like AI straddles observability, security, governance. But in the security space, what I'm amazed about is that there's so many constraints. You have to be right. I think you said you have to be right every time. Ads was more forgiving. I mean, arguably maybe too forgiving, but you have managed to, I don't know, create how much shareholder value since you've been at Palo Alto Networks, but I think it's a pretty big.
It's north about $100 million. Who's counting?
I think somebody is. But what is more impressive to me is that you have driven this old world company to be known now for innovation and transformation. And how do you do that within the constraints of what you have to do from a product perspective?
Well, let's talk about AI first, right? Everybody has their own interpretation of AI. Shit, I spent a few weeks reading about it. I don't know as much as many of you do, unless you're Steve, who spent possibly his life doing that stuff. The reason AI is a bit freaky is I liken it to saying that everybody out there is building a brain of some sort. Whether it's Sam Altman, whether it's the Chinese DeepSeek model, it's kind of a brain, right? And that brain has immense capacity. It remembers everything. It has pattern recognition. It can find patterns. It's still struggling in new problems, right? It knows how to solve known problems, old problems. The new problems, there's a bit of experimentation. We nudge it to try and teach it. And I'm pretty sure the next version is to be smarter and smarter and smarter. It's like hiring a PhD from Stanford or Berkeley and pick your favorite school and won't insult it. That's fine. So I'm sure that'll happen. People get really smart. Now, one problem is we don't quite know how that brain works in life from a technological perspective. But the biggest fear is what will happen when you give the brain control. Mm-hmm. And the only example is our Tesla or Waymo, pick your favorite car, where you give control to the brain and give it arms and legs. So you can now act. That scares the shit out of it. Because, there are horror stories where I can imagine a scenario. I can take over your Waymo and drive you to a land you've never seen, or I can hijack you, or I can kidnap you, or I can take you somewhere. It's possible. Technologically, I'll also explain how that's possible. So that's where the fear of cybersecurity comes in. Is can somebody take over this brain? So that's kind of one fear. The second fear is if I give this brain the power to act in an unchecked fashion, the same brain I trained to cure cancer could also build something that gives everyone cancer. So it's the fact the brain has no moral backbone, the fact that the brain can go crazy and get hijacked are two biggest fears. So now I can bring it back to however we want cybersecurity or not. But I'm sorry, for my simplistic mind, that's the way I think about it. And every one of you is trying to help every enterprise out there implement AI or give observability or explain who's using it. But the fear is on the other side. The fear is AI running rogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's actually, I'm going to jump through a couple of questions, which was, I think of it as every company has a mission, and generally every company organizes themselves by teams that are set to achieve that mission. And for 20 years, those teams have used software tools to get whatever it is done. The human controls the tool. That's beginning, middle, end. And now enter AI functionality, which people think of as the LLMs like ChatGPT or Claude, but it's really AI inside of everything. And to me, the best way to think of it is they're teammates, not tools. So we have
the teammates are going to take your job, but that's fine.
Teammates teammates who are going to take some jobs and augment others, but it definitely feels like okay,
this augmentation is just ourselves lulling ourselves into this notion that we are needed.
No, totally. Okay, all right, you're really jumping through. This is
I'm
great.
sorry, but you said I'm just checking. Like I'm just like at least let's call a spade, right?
Yeah, let's call it, and let's actually call it. Let's go right there. Who's the most brilliant person, yourself excluded, that will be replaced by AI?
You see, here's the challenge. If you look at most organizations, there's brain and brawn.
Yeah. Brawn's not big.
Well, it depends on what your brawn does. If your brawn is solving customer problems, I think there's 5,000 customer service replacement startups veiled as AI companies, right? All the way from Brett's company to 17,000 others. Is everybody's out there saying, I can use AI to solve this repetitive problem. So the first thing that goes is a repetitive task. Now, you say you won't take my job, but I don't need 10 analysts to do PowerPoints if I'm in McKinsey now. I can have 2 of them do it, and I can have 1 person supervise it. So 6 jobs have to go. So there's a large amount of repetitive behavior, even coding. Like literally somebody said to me yesterday, oh, I have a great idea. We'll take some legacy companies, just nice code, and they have like so many customers, and I'll go take more. I'm like, don't touch their code. They're probably crappy. I'm pretty sure AI is going to write better code and replace all that code and inspect and fix it. It's a repetitive task. 90% of the code is repetitive. So there's a lot of repetitive tasks that will go away because there are smarter ways to do pattern recognition and solve the problem. That will result in shrinkage of a whole bunch of people's part of their jobs, which is repetitive. In which case, if there are 10 people doing that, there'll be 4 needed. So jobs will go. Is that not what you're telling people?
No. I'm telling that is, I think.
I'm sorry. Who here believes that this is not going to happen? I want to hear somebody tell me you're full of shit.
I don't think you're full of shit. I also think it is.
Yeah, she's got an idea. She is willing
to show you what's on her board. Go ahead.
I love it. Lexi gives me a like.
It's hard to have robots build houses. Now we've got 3D printed houses and other things, but I do think we have a lot to still figure out. So yes, I mean, I spent 17 years at Accenture, strategy consultant. Gone. There's a lot of jobs that are going to be gone, and yet at the same time, I think we are over imagining how quickly that's going to happen, and the different points of resistance along the way, and the challenges that still exist. So I think we need to find that balance of, it's not like tomorrow it goes poof. Even in organizations where you could do something with technology, it's going to take a while.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not suggesting it's happening tomorrow. I'm just saying that's where we're headed. Now, when it happens, will depend on actually all of you who go and automate how these things away and make it happen. But yeah.
Well, and I view, Brian, more as the people who are building the houses and fixing the roads.
You were thinking about physical activities.
I don't consider customer success, Brian. Just personally.
Customer success exists because people create bad products.
Yes. Okay. So along this dimension, this is the whole reason Lanai exists, and it is that you can't protect what you can't see, you can't empower what you don't understand. And here's my fear: there is a very well-known financial services company, PayPal, that that clearly put a ton of AI in their customer success operation. I just had $17,000 of fraud through PayPal. And I went through their customer tree that was AI empowered, and it was a terrible experience. And then
AI shouldn't be held responsible for bad execution.
Well, so this is
some human executed.
Yes. Who owns in your mind? There's a lot of enterprises here and on the phone. And a lot of people are just struggling with, since AI is a teammate on every team, who owns AI? Who owns AI at Palo Alto Networks?
I do.
Okay, so it's the CEO.
Yeah.
But
if you cannot, technological change is impossible if the leadership does not embrace it and drive it through, because there are so many people who will shy away from it and naysay it and say it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen to my job. I don't need to do it. So,
okay.
No.
So let's pretend you were the CEO of this financial services company.
Yes.
And your CX team had brought to you the idea that we're going to take out 40% of the workforce because AI can do it faster.
No, but I think I go back to Ivana, who said, we're not ready yet. I am not ready to give control, arms and legs to my AI on anything in my company. I'm very happy for it to make things more efficient and let humans inspect it. I'm still inspecting what AI recommends because I don't think AI is at a stage where it can take control. What can take control is machine learning models, which you've written down, which is we try and call it precision AI, because there's no room for hallucination or bad answers in our world. And I don't think first of all, the models aren't smart enough, and most of the data sucks. In every legacy company, the data sucks.
Yeah.
So you can't train these models to be smart enough. So you're going to get high error rates. And I don't want to be like called by that customer says, it got 95% right. I'm one of those 5 people that got wrong.
Right.
So you're unfortunately one of those possibly 15 people they got wrong.
Yes.
Out of 100. So.
And by the way, with Lanai, you A/B test that. So we didn't even practice this commercial break, but
go for it.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the speed round right now.
Already? Okay.
Hot seat. Okay.
Okay. I wasn't on hot seat so far.
No. That was softball.
All right.
And then we'll open it up to questions.
Okay.
All right. Your highest stakes negotiation happened where?
2 of them. One, negotiating the Google search deal with Apple.
Okay.
Which was interesting, and I don't know.
But where were you when it actually got done? Like where physically?
I had the idea when. So I'll tell the story. I used to be chief business officer at Google, and the Google and Apple search deal came up for renewal. I went to talk to Tim. Larry had laryngitis or something, and he couldn't speak a lot. So I went to talk to Tim. Tim sent me home saying, "Don't ever come back, talk to me." She will still say that. I saw him last week. And so he said, I went to talk to Larry. 6 months later, he said, actually, I'd rather talk, which is a big endorsement of, maybe it's not an endorsement of something else, whatever. So we chatted, and then he wouldn't. No, I'm saying it's a big, like, there are people who he didn't want to talk to even more than me. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
This is not about humility or so. And then every meeting he'd have, you want me in the phone. So I was at a wedding in India on December 24th. If you've seen a wedding in India, this is out there in the boonies wilderness. There was not a single building. It's like in a farmhouse, if you understand the weddings. And I literally had to take a phone call with Larry Page and Tim Cook on the phone. And I had to go find a building where the music wasn't throbbing at 2:00 in the morning. And I had literally was hiding under a ledge trying to get the sound to be gone. And these 2 guys with sticks walking around saying, there's this guy hiding here. And I turned down, there's Tim Cook and Larry Page on the phone. He couldn't give a rat's ass. He thought I was trying to break into the house. Anyway, so that was where that negotiation happened. Since you asked.
That was a much more successful negotiation than when I was sent to MySpace with Tim Armstrong.
Yes.
To make money from a $1 billion prepaid deal. So there was also music pumping there, but we can discuss that later. Okay, most terrifying moment that turned into your biggest win. Maybe it was that. I don't know.
That turned. Proposing to my wife.
Okay. Yeah, you should tell them what Aisha owns.
Oh, is this like paid advertising?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
My wife owns 3 of the best restaurants of the day.
Yeah. Named
Eton in Palo Alto, Cobra in the city, and the most recent one called Elan, which is in Menlo Park, which opened 2 weeks ago.
I mean, we are bereft of good culture down here, so these are hot tips, people. Okay.
No AI is going to automate that.
Yeah.
Nor will anyone eat for us, nor will AI cook for us. There we go.
That is
physical brawn. Yes.
Diversified portfolio.
That's right.
Ivana is on the same page. Okay, fill in the blank. Every CEO I know is afraid of blank, but won't admit it.
Failing.
Would you rather have perfect AI cybersecurity or perfect human decision making?
Well, it's a perfect AI cybersecurity, a subset of perfect human decision making, isn't it?
Boom. You're welcome.
Is that the layoff? Okay. All right.
The thing Silicon Valley gets most wrong about Trump is, no, I'm just kidding. About AI is blank.
Oh, I don't think Silicon Valley has AI wrong. I just think that it's hard. There's a flavor for everything. We have, but it takes it takes 2 points of view to trade. I think we have enough people with different points of AI, and you can see the trade. Where there's people busy spending $500 billion and trying to build a large data center. I don't want to say who, and there's people who are saying, I don't give a shit. The model's cheap. It's costing you 1 cent each API call. I'd rather use the model, which was built for $6 million.
2025 prediction. Who becomes more powerful, CIOs or CISOs?
Neither.
Who
Neither.
does anybody in the C-suite sort of gain or lose power in this new?
But generally, CIOs are gaining power. I think the biggest change with AI abroad is every CEO wants to say good things about AI, so they turn to their CIO. The CIO is to make sure that access is working and your shit's working. So like, hey, I got to go to a conference for pharmacy companies. What should I tell them? How are we doing on the AI? That's the only thing they want. They want like, I'm calling CIOs. Can I talk about something? They do. I have no time. I'm busy writing a memo for the CEO so he can sound intelligent.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, CIOs are getting more powerful because they're writing the script. Otherwise, they will ask to keep the trains running on time. But I think so. I guess CIOs become more powerful. CISOs are insurance agents, like we are. We sell insurance, and CISOs are insurance. Because at the end of the day, you never want to find out that you're important in the company as a CISO. Because the day you're important means the shit hit the fan. Like, no, I don't go to my company and call my CISO and say, "How you doing, bud? All good?" Never. No, I don't talk to my guy at my company. I go to everybody else. So fine. You ask me if they could become more important in a company, not for me. For me, they're all important. Both CIO and CISO. I'll take every. But in my company, I don't talk to my CISO until the shit hits the fan. Usually, when the shit hits the fan, I'm saying, "What were you doing? Sleeping on your job?" So it's not a good conversation to talk to your CISO.
Okay, last two, and then we open it up to the crowd. Your leadership philosophy in 3 words.
3 sentences is better because
okay.
it'll misinterpret the words. I think a leader's job is to identify the North Star and make sure everybody knows it every day. Because very often people get confused at what we're trying to achieve. Then your job is to make sure that you have a plan with everyone that everybody understands you can execute it. And the third job is to take people who are getting in the way of your plan, get rid of them, or things that can execute. So it's like simple. Write your strategy, make sure you plan to execute your strategy, and get rid of shit that comes in the way of executing your strategy.
Lanai, does everybody remember our Monday morning warm up? Apple tree. Okay. And then finally, DeepSeek is a small, medium, or large deal.
I think it's amazing.
Okay, so that's extra large.
Yeah, but let's think about it for a second. What has it done? I don't care how much it costs them to make it, right? If somebody's standing in the street corner and saying, I'm selling you, I don't know, pick your favorite thing you want to buy, organic apples for 1 cent, you care how how much it costs for them to get it. As long as you believe it's what you're buying, and I think it is, if we've tested it, yeah, it's got security issues, but you can implement it on your own on-prem, you can put guardrails around it. I saw AWS post about it. It's 100 times cheaper. What does it do? If you're doing an AI startup, I'm pretty sure all of you got and kick the tires. Do you want something that costs $100? You want something that costs $1?
Yeah. Adela.
That's Adela. There we go.
And now questions from the group.
So you are one of the statesmen in technology space. Oh, okay. The question I always ask about AI is that people wonder if lawyers will lose their jobs or accountants or VCs. I mean, I would usually say, who gives a shit? Yeah. Important, however, is that if you're in rural Michigan and you were trying to pull yourself up from the misery that life has given you, it used to be go get a job, become a plumber, a mechanic, or go join this automotive company in the manufacturing plant.
That still works, as for Ivana's philosophy.
But those are the things that are going to go away. Maybe it will, as you said, maybe it takes a little bit of time, but those opportunities are going to go away. Automation is happening in factories. Jobs are becoming less available to those repetitive tasks because they're not highly intelligent tasks either necessarily. What happens? How do we as a country then organize ourselves so we don't have mass unemployment? Not that I get paid less as an investor or as a technologist.
So tell me, 200 years ago, how many people were employed in farming?
Many more than there are now.
What happened? Did we have a catastrophic decline in society? Did we have civil war and people shut down life? How many people are running chariots and breeding horses when we're all running around without electric car or car? Period. So if you go back historically, as society, we found ways of deploying our time much more efficiently as these categories of jobs went away, a whole new category of jobs came about. You think, 200 years ago, there was a thing called a plumber or an electrician?
But we created a welfare state, this concept of this welfare.
Well, then now you're conflating welfare states with, future jobs. There are jobs that'll be created as part of this. People will learn. Like the kids are going to school. How many kids are going to vocational college today to be plumbers and electricians anyway? They're all going to knowledge jobs. And it's silly. If you want to learn English literature and then say, I want a job, that's a different issue. But if you go to work, 90% of people are going to learn some sort of coding, computer science, or managing something or the other. So I'm not worried about the fact that jobs will cease to exist and we will have a social crisis, because Ivana and I are convinced that will be an evolutionary change as opposed to a revolutionary change. Will give enough time for everyone of us to figure out what you need to learn. Trust me, the 26-year-olds today are running prompt engineering without calling it that, right? They're busy asking the question of Gemini and OpenAI. So guess what's going to happen? A lot more people will work on that. A lot more companies are going to deploy AI. We'll stop hiring programmers. We'll start hiring AI implementation people, because there is going to be tons of human training and intervention required. So I'm not worried about the existence of jobs in general society. We'll find things and ways to be more productive.
This could be a whole nother, and it will be open garage setting on the role that capitalists play in helping to curate this moment of like the horse parable. And will the jobs exist, or will they go away, or will we evolve? But we won't go so far. Yes. Definitely not the wrong guy, but just we'll ask another person.
That's right.
Other questions?
So Manish Gandhi, founder CEO of a company called Satisfy. We build products for customer success managers. So the question is going to be biased, of course. Why do people keep dumping on customer success, whether it's Fluid, whether it's you, even when?
Well, I'm actually not dumping on customer service. I'm dumping on product managers. I'm sorry, please understand. I'm the equal opportunity dumper.
You said that companies which make bad products have customer success managers. So
yes,
is that...
customer service. Let me restate for the record. Customer service exists because we make bad products.
Or because people don't understand the product that
that's a bad product. Because you're smarter and saying, my product's so genius, you just don't understand it. If you built a product that I understood and I didn't need you to explain it to me, it'd be an amazing product.
Believe me, I feel your pain. I've been where you are. I would maybe stand down, but if
no, please, come on. This is in the interest of discussion. Right.
So, as a CEO, I go back to your leadership framework, right?
Yes.
Write a plan, remove the blockers, and make sure everybody knows about it.
Yes.
So, do you think with AI, 3 years out, you have 5,000 people in that function, or do you have 1,000?
1,000. Change the way we collect data. I have no problem. Use our customer success people as the first line of defense to understand why and how every problem happened. Collect all the data so we can figure out how to solve the problem with automation next time. If I see the same problem show up the 11th time and a human being has to understand and solve it, we have a problem.
Yeah.
So we go and track and saying this problem showed up 10 times. The 10 times the same solution is applied. How do I make sure the 11th time this is solved using some automated script? It's not AI, okay? It's automation. We don't do that. So if I can do that, I can reduce, like today we're deflecting 30% of knowledge question and answer problems using augmented, like that word, augmenting our customer support people. Then I have to go digging through semantic search on a knowledge database. How's that?
Yeah, I think of it more this way. Like I find it amazing having led customer experience teams at scale. The biggest asset that everyone has is their time. And if I have to call a customer agent, if I'm not getting value immediately from the product, then you've taken up my time, which is really where I would say like customer success is giving people time back. And anyway, that could be another open the garage setting. But thank you for your question, and God bless you. Just going straight down. Pardon? Yes, we could take some from online.
Andrea Fang, everybody, Chief of Staff, Head of Customer Success.
Mistakes, hallucinations of AI. Whose responsibility is it going to be? Creators of AI, companies employing AIs, somebody else?
The responsibility of AI hallucinating when you put AI inside your product is yours. It's your job once you adapt it. Like, I think it already has been proven that some airline said that it wasn't us. But somebody gave a free car and say it wasn't us, the AI gave it. It doesn't matter. You gave it a free car. So if you choose to use anything, like, oh wait, if the I don't know, pick your favorite, you're cooking something and the sugar was contaminated, and it wasn't my fault that the person, was sick after they ate my product because the sugar I bought was contaminated. It doesn't really matter, right?
Well, it's tricky, right? Is it like guns? Do guns kill people or do people kill people? I think there are certain things that like
This is not a conversation. You can have an open garage. You can have an open garage session with that topic, but whoever you want, but that's not going to be me. Yes. Yes. I'm not going down that one. But I understand your analogy.
Thank you.
So you should have your own open garage session with them. What do you think, Lexi?
Hey,
what's the answer?
I have one.
Okay, good.
I'm not the person who.
You did this for a few months trying to figure out how to solve this. So I will defer to you.
Okay, next one.
One more. Elisa Harvey Dawson, how much time do you spend thinking about how your company is going to navigate the evolving regulatory regimes around AI?
Nobody regulated their way to success. Usually regulation came after success for the most part. The only one example I ever found which somebody challenged me in that answer was that the GSM Association created a standard. Now I call that a standard, not regulation, which made things go faster. But look, again, here's my 2 cents of AI regulation. Where AI regulation will eventually come down is back to who gave AI control. Because I think it'll be impossible to tell us how to use AI. So eventually they'll say, if you use AI and the car kills someone, then it's your responsibility. So you are now responsible for using bad AI or giving control to AI when you didn't put the right safeguards. It's like the NTSB regulates a whole bunch of shit, and that I'm sure there's a regulator who tells you, seat belts are going to save lives. Eventually, the fault belongs to the car company. The regulator just says you got to make sure people don't die. So eventually, they will do the same thing. They will say, make sure AI doesn't kill people. Like, people kill people or whatever. What are the right answers, right? Whichever the right answer is. So I think eventually regulation is going to boil down into don't give control to AI, things which we depend on. And there will be some classified topics that, you don't give AI control of a nuclear reactor because that could be very bad. And if we won't be able to come after you because you won't be around. But don't give it to a car, they'll be able to come after us. So I think that's how regulation gets. That's how we get to regulation. And it is going to be the responsibility of every one of us who's implementing AI to implement it safely.
I wish Alyssa was here. She is GC at HubSpot and Gusto and is an incredible leader and thinker on compliance. So shout out to you. Okay, how about 2 more questions from the audience? I like to leave people wanting more, and then we can break. I'll say a few words. We'll get some food, and you guys, and I think you have a dinner, but maybe you could.
I'll be here if my dinner got canceled.
Yes.
But
Yes. I may have canceled it with AI. Okay.
The customer service.
We'll go here, then I'm going to bounce back to here. So 3 questions.
I'm CFO. I've been CFO for a company called Relation in the metadata catalog space. I was chief strategy officer for Alteryx. Have looked across enterprises. The data is messy everywhere. The problem of applying AI to messy data, which you mentioned earlier, is probably one of the chief limiters. How are we going to get through this quickly?
So I think the idea to make it real is messy data lives in lots of different places, and AI is using data to come up with whatever answers to whatever prompt. You in the security space have to clean up a lot of this messy data to help advance your product. So how are you doing?
So I think we're conflating. A little editorial. We collect 9 petabytes of data a day. We're the second largest ingester of data after Google search into GCP, 9 petabytes a day. And we're able to unclutter it to get what we need. So the problem is not uncluttering data or doing pattern recognition around unstructured data, around applying machine learning models. That problem is solvable with smart people in computer science. The bigger problem is you don't have the right data. You didn't collect it in the first place. right? And you cannot A/B test. You cannot say this is the way to solve the problem. This is the wrong solution. So like, no, even back to our favorite topic, customer success, right? Customer reps don't keep track of how they solved it every time. So if you go and say, I do 300,000 tickets a year or 500,000 tickets a year, you actually don't know how I solved the problem because somebody did solve the problem. They didn't record right. So you don't have the right data. Not having the right data, you can't unclutter it because it's not there. So I think we have to go back and recollect data the right way and understand what the A/B testing is. Yes, I can collect every X-ray, but if you don't have all the diagnosis of the X-ray all in one place, then you can't do anything with the X-ray, right? How do I know? So that part is easy. Uncluttering is easy. There's computer science that will allow us to unclutter data. The problem is you're not collecting the right data, which is the bigger problem, which we have to go back and redo.
So my question is like, there's a lot of conversations on DeepSeek and all being creating geopolitical war. In fact, Yan LeCun recently commented on Silicon Valley, saying that Silicon Valley is full of misplaced people with misplaced superiority complex, and people in Silicon Valley have
wrong. Sorry, what's wrong with that?
Oh, okay. Is that a geopolitical war?
And another one is
Brad, what do you think?
and Silicon Valley has symptom of advanced stage where thinking your small tribe has a monopoly on good ideas, and symptom of dominant stage, assuming innovations from elsewhere are obtained through cheating. What do you have to comment on it since you're like one of the most important leaders in Silicon Valley?
I have no idea who this wonderful person is who's saying all these wonderful things. Sometimes there's no smoke without fire. So how do I know? But I think part of it is, it's kind of like you can't get one without the other, right? If they're not crazy to say I can change the world every morning and wake up in Silicon Valley. Some of them do. The rest of them are called delusional. So I'm sure he's met both kinds, right? For every person he calls delusional, there's a guy who broke through and said, I built Uber, I built Google, or I built Facebook. Now, if you listen to them without company, say these guys are stupid. They're going to build a $3 trillion company in the next 20 years and change the face of the earth. Shit, they did. And in general, there is a higher density of those people in this neighborhood. So we all get painted by the same brush and we all wake up with the same aspiration. How many times, if you're a VC or a startup, you said, well, actually, we're the Google of metadata, right? Like nobody stops short saying we're the CNN or something, or like, or legacy company. Like, I'm the Google, I'm the Facebook of, I don't know, pick your favorite, of professional employment, like LinkedIn. Like, so LinkedIn, there's talk about Facebook professional employment. Okay. Whatever. So we all come up with delusions, but sometimes those delusions are important to remind ourselves that our job is not done.
I just appreciate it being pointed. But you notice when he said $1 trillion, he just pointed.
No, you were part of the team that created.
No, I just mean
$3 trillion at Google. Lexi is,
And Lanai. That's what I was saying.
Of course.
Okay. All right.
Is Lanai going to be the Google of AI, or is it going to be the, I don't know,
Snowflake.
WeWork of AI?
Snowflake of AI.
Right, there we go.
Continue. Small ambitions.
Hi, Nikesh. My name is Madhu Salakar. The question is on cybersecurity side. AI has done so many examples that you talked about coding assistants. Where do you see in the security really AI impacting? I mean, there's Gen AI and agents. Is it more in the traditional XDRs? Is it firewalls? Where is fundamentally is going to shift the game? You're on top of Palo Alto there. So do you see more impacting in one area? Is it going to be all over? Is it going to be in small areas? Where do you see AI really impacting?
Look, eventually, the idea that you're getting hacked or breached in sub-second sort of time frame, the fact that humans are going to analyze that data by themselves and try and figure out what's happening is impossible. So you have to believe there's some combination of machine learning, reinforcement learning, and pattern recognition. Notice I didn't use the word AI, right? Some combination of machine learning, reinforcement learning, pattern recognition, that's going to have to kick in. So I think in the next 3 to 5 years, we'll see a much more automated remediation of cyber issues than we've ever seen in the past, because otherwise you'll get breached.
Okay, I know there are a lot of questions, but I am going to wrap it up just for folks on the East Coast who are online and simply say one last question from me and then some logistics and a thank you and a wrap up. You mentioned curiosity, and I would say that really is the thing that drives you, Nikesh. What's one thing you're deeply curious about right now?
Well, it'll be a cliche to say I'm deeply curious about AI because that's kind of like what every one of us is sort of toiling and trying to anticipate. I'm deeply curious because of something else about AI. My biggest concern or challenge is that 95% of the people in any room like this are going to get it wrong. And if you go back and look at every historical technological revolution, and we're all more sensitized every time, but there was a room full of people in their mid-40s and slightly older who said, we've got this, we've figured it out. And there's a whole flurry of companies that emerged called Google and Facebook and Snapchat and Uber and you name your favorite company. And if you go back historically and say, shit, there were a lot more people with more of these assets who could have brought them to bear and beat every one of these companies who already had the blueprint. So I worry that our tendency is to either reject or to think it's going to happen slowly, or to think that we have a lot of assets that we can bring to bear and no other startup is going to go get it. So my bigger curiosity is which one of these budding AI companies is going to crack the code better than any one of us legacy people, including our company, and going to take us to the cleaners. And that's what I'm more curious about and paranoid. Not about which one of these big ass companies is going to crack it, because I think most of them will not crack it.
Well, with that, I want to say I could not be more grateful to, I will say grateful to Nikesh, but grateful to Steve Herod. Where is Steve? Who is the most incredible co-founder. And I think together we really believe that while AI will do lots of things that will cause questions, it really can empower humans to do extraordinary things, but only if we empower people to see what it is doing today and to protect the bad stuff that can happen from AI. So that really is why Lanai was founded. We are so curious about how people are going to make big decisions that change labor markets and economies and communities. And we want to give people the data to make smarter decisions at the end of the day. Sometimes that happens in software. Sometimes it happens in discussions like this. Again, by exposing the smart people in this room. Thank you for coming, everybody on Zoom, to hear from people who have been through a lot of revolutions and evolutions, because the collective wisdom can help us lead towards something really greater than any of us can imagine. Logistically, I want to thank 3Motion Creative, Elliot and team, who do the most amazing commercial and personal work. People, Culture, Talent, Tiana and team, who have helped us to launch this founding group of people. Team Lanai, again, loud and proud. We are hiring, so if you are in machine learning or engineering or product design, or anyone who wants to do something fantastic here, we work 3 days a week here. Our investors, you've already been introduced. And of course, the one and only Nikesh Arora.
Thank you for having me, and congratulations and good luck to every one of you. I hope you are one of those companies or people who goes and solves this AI problem, so I can say I met you for listening to me by mistake.